All right, I hope everybody's all right. And today, it's the 21st of November, 2025, and I am near the city of Savona in northern Italy, by the sea. And we are actually driving to Marseille because I got my Mussolini show tomorrow in a theater. It's Le Théâtre du Hangar, and I'm gonna play this show in French. I'm saying we because I'm waiting for my technician. She's about to arrive by train. Her name is Nadine, an excellent technician, and we're gonna drive to Marseille. It's about a 3-hour drive, but we're actually going to sleep by the sea in a beautiful place. And I'll probably shoot another video from that, so I'll tell you what place it is later on. So yeah, welcome to my channel. My secondary channel. My name is Tom Corradini, and I am a physical theater artist, theater producer. You can check out my work on www.tomcorradini.it. And really, this channel, it's a vlog. It actually I started experimenting with it during COVID, and you can find some clips of a format titled English Mime, which I played during the lockdown. And I mean, the majority of views I get on this channel is because of that. I may actually start doing that again, but not in the near future. So yeah, and then I have a main channel where I mostly play Mussolini, but I also do other stuff, and that's my main channel where I get lots of views and stuff like that. But because I travel so much, I decided at one point, well, I gotta vlog and just show people what I'm doing. It's kind of boring, I know, because mostly you just hear me speaking, and but I am traveling a lot, and so basically I toured this month of November with 2/3 shows. I really don't remember. And then next I'm going to the northern France near Luxembourg, and then it's going to be Berlin, and after that it's going to be in December in a school in Gavirate, which is in Lombardy. And then on the 8th of December, I'm going to India to play my show Shaolin Clown at a festival, Yapar Festival, in the city of Pune. And after that, I'll be going to Goa. Never been to Goa. It's a sort of seaside resort, but there's a huge theater festival there titled Serendipity. So I may start actually also reviewing shows for a friend of mine. He's got a website, Fringe Review, so I may do that as well. It's not cold today. Actually, it's beautiful weather here, and today's rant is going to be George Orwell versus Taylor Swift. I don't know why I have this idea, but recently there's been the elections in the US, and for a number of reasons. That was an important election for us here in Europe as well, because I would say mostly because of the war in Ukraine. Now, I gotta tell you from the very start, I supported Trump, okay? So I'm gonna lose the few audience I have, but the little audience I have. But yeah, George Orwell versus Taylor Swift. Now, since the very start this has to do with theater, and I'll tell you why. Because it has to do with what is politically correct. And when you write something, a play or whatever, I just noticed that everything I see around is just very flat. I mean, even in Edinburgh, where you have like 4,000 shows or whatever, if I look at the topic of the shows, I just find them really boring. I mean, it's all about, I would say, wokeism, sex, transgender, and stuff like that. It may be about maybe something like family relationships or whatever. I'm trying to remember what all the shows in Edinburgh were about. But really, if you speak about something like war, if you speak about something like the conflict between China and the United States, if you speak about economics, how the economy is changing in Europe and I guess also beyond Europe or whatever, in these in Western society, if you speak about, heavy stuff, which doesn't have to be heavy in the way you write a play. I do comedy, I do clowning, okay? But like I said, if you really want to tackle stuff, which is like what I think is really important in the day-to-day life of everyone, I don't see anything out there. I don't see anything. Maybe it's okay to have to, maybe escapism is all right. The fact you want to escape from reality or whatever, maybe just pure entertainment is all right. I'm not here to patronize or to say how the world should be. But what I'm saying is, because I belong to that generation that did not have social media. Okay, this is a big gap, believe it or not. And in the future, people who were born like 10 years ago, and then they belong to another world. And in my ex world, I remember young people were just very, 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 very active. I don't know. They were just, they would not take society as it is. They really wanted to change the world. For wrong or for good, it really doesn't matter. But what I'm saying nowadays, I see the majority of young people, and they want to fit in, which is bizarre. I mean, think about the UK, just for example. You had, the punk movement, the mods, the whatever, and but I don't see, today, and I'm going to with Taylor Swift. People want to fit in, and I'm saying George Orwell against Taylor Swift because speaking about the U.S. elections, and like I said, personally I supported Trump, not because I care about what happens in the United States in particular, but just because I thought it was a chance just to end this war, which is not going to end, by the way, because I see the U.S. administration is doing, the present U.S. administration is doing really its best to just continue this war, and which is creating in the mind of every single European a major divide between the U.S. and Europe, and it starts with the mind. Read Gandhi, okay? So basically, Europeans are just fed up with NATO. And they're just fed up with the United States of America in general. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. It doesn't matter what they say in the street. But when you speak to people, they're just fed up. This is a war that should never be been fought. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. The world is changing. And let's go back to the topic of this conversation. So it's Taylor Swift against George Orwell. My goodness. So, what really surprised me about the US elections is the sheer number of artists that supported Kamala Harris. And that's where Taylor Swift comes into play, because she supported Kamala Harris, and then you have, just a score of singers, actors, or whatever. And I think the rationale to make this public is from the side of the globalists. I'm gonna call them the globalists, this elite that wants to transform the world into some sort of uniform mass without borders, without culture, without nationality, without anything. So the rationale is these people, these celebrities, have an effect on young people, so they're gonna, turn the vote in our favor. And it seems to me that they actually got the opposite result. I really would be curious to see what the demographics of the Trump voters is relating to age. But it seems to me that, these so-called celebrities have no effect whatsoever on the way young people vote, which is good. I think is good. It means that people are thinking with their own head. Now, one thing about Trump and democracy in general, democracy works this way. Sometimes people get elected that you don't particularly like, okay? It's not that democracy only works if you elect the people I like. It just doesn't work that way. But for these people, I'm gonna call them the globalists. It seems that, democracy is useful as far as people vote what we serve them on the plate. So basically it's like a set menu. It's not a menu a la carte, speaking about food. So this is a way of creating the perfect totalitarian state. And I'm quoting here Huxley. the science fiction writer, who, by the way, was married with a woman from Turin, my hometown. But I'm digressing here. So, and if you remember the previous election, when Hillary Clinton was competing against Donald Trump, you had Madonna endorsing her, you had Bruce Springsteen endorsing her, and it was funny to watch it from the outside, from outside the United States of America, because you would see Donald Trump having all these scores of people around him, and whenever Hillary Clinton was going somewhere, there was just nobody. So it was easy just to understand who's going to win. Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump is going to solve all the problems of the world. Actually, I believe he's going to find himself in the perfect storm, because the war in Ukraine is not going to end. And I see that the world is changing in a major way. I don't want to digress into that, otherwise it's going to be an hour-long video. But let me go back to George Orwell. Because to me, George Orwell really represents the visionary artist, the artist that looks into the future, that understands how society is going to move. And I think every artist has to have that vision in a way, especially if you're, a bit of an intellectual. That means you're writing stories or whatever. I think with music it's different, because music works on sheer emotions. But then again, maybe it's not true. I don't know. But okay, maybe today's music like so. And one of the books that really struck me by George Orwell is not Animal Farm or 1984. It's a book titled Down and About in Paris and London, which is an autobiographical book. It speaks about his life. And basically speaks about his life, which was very hard. It was like working as a waiter in restaurants in Paris. I'm speaking about the early 20th century, okay? So you really had to read the book. And basically the book ends with him becoming a Trump. Not a Trump as as Donald Trump, but a hobo in London. And it really is a telling book. So George Orwell is somebody who really, I think it was a visionary. I call these people the visionaries, the people that really have an insight into the future, the gurus, okay? So it was a bloody guru in a way. He really saw how society was going to advance. And in the preface of Animal Farm, which you should read, he also speaks about how art is going to be impacted in a bad way by the industrial system. And he literally says it's going to be more and more difficult in the future. This is George Orwell, to speak freely about any topic, because the industrial system will create a single form of thought from which it will just be impossible to escape for a number of reasons. So, if you do music, one thing is doing music with Disney on your back, like in the case of Taylor Swift, and be like just an unknown musician. Same with theater, but with theater there is an exception. Theater always has to do by and large with small venues, so you are free, and you can pretty much talk about whatever you want. Of course, you gotta have knowledge of what you're talking about. Okay, so in my case, for example, that's why I'm returning to India for the second time, and I really wanted to go to Iraq. This year, there's a Baghdad International Festival. I want to see Iran. I want to see this other world which is growing and which really represents the majority of humanity, like it or not. We're speaking about millions and billions of people, okay? India, China, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Vietnam. I've been to Vietnam as well. And it's a world which is changing at an incredible pace. So, and I think as an artist, you want to follow that, because, interpret new cultures, just be open-minded about the world, not be like Taylor Swift, who is just in the kind of flow, industrial flow, where everything is presented to her, and she's just like this echo chamber, this loudspeaker of the single thought, the single ideology, okay? Don't have anything, against that. Some of her music, it really is beautiful. But let's face it, when somebody, sings in front of a crowd, says F, she used the F word, I'm not going to say it here, the patriarchy and so on, when she has no idea whatsoever what the word is going to be like, when she's just like, pretending to vomit the way life, an ideology which has been imposed to her just because she's a machine making billions of dollars. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not speaking about social envy. Then, one wonders why. And really the fact that people voted Trump and did not follow this incredible marketing operation just brings hope. Like I said, the perfect world does not exist. Life is continuous change. It's a continuous flow of ideas, struggle, wars are part of life as well. I'm not a pacifist, by the way, at all. But there are stupid wars and useful wars and whatever. And the war in Ukraine, it's the stupidest war ever. Even more than Iraq. And that's why I want to go to Baghdad, by the way. So basically what we're lacking today, I think, it's George Orwell characters. Some people that really have a vision about the future and really escape from this single mentality. I'm not saying this myself, just me, but also I think John Cleese from, is that John Cleese? I can't remember right now, from the Monty Python just said the same stuff. That today it's just impossible to do comedy because some topics are just not to be touched, and I just want to be free, and when I say free, I want to say mentally free. And I like competing ideas. People who disagree. I think disagreement really brings stuff forward. So what I'm going to do in my main channel in the future, I'm gonna call as Mussolini all these singers that supported Kamala Harris and sing a song for them. That's a crazy idea I had. Sorry, just rambling and ranting, but that's how you create ideas, you create plays, okay? So just to give you an idea, if you go to my website, www.tomcorradini.it, a bit of promotion there, you're gonna see some new plays I'm writing, and one is going to be titled Shanghai Burning, and it's a story based on Romeo and Juliet, with the sole difference that it's based in Shanghai, and the two families are an American family and a Chinese family, competing against each other. And that's a projection of what the future awaits us, with the competition between China and the United States. Strategic, economic, and God forbid, military competition. And that's about my old plays as well. I wrote a play about Brexit. And that's because I saw in Brexit really, a major conflict between two ideas of, from my perspective, Europe, and also the conflict between, the young and the old generation in Britain, and so on and so forth. So if you look at my plays, they're always comedy, people laugh, but there's always a social theme underneath. And that's what I think is lacking nowadays in theater in general, not to mention other forms of art, film, music, and so on and so forth. So for the people out there, for the few people, maybe it's gonna be one or two, I really don't care how many people watch this channel. Sometimes I'm surprised at what I say myself, okay? But yeah, just don't be afraid to express your opinion. I think rule of thumb, I'll give you some rule of thumbs. Number one, you cannot offend the person. It cannot be personal when you have a disagreement with somebody, but it must be based on the topic. So don't make it personal. But I think if you don't make it personal, you can pretty much express your opinion. You can be anti-woke. Somebody says, I am a woman, this person is a man. That's all right, but the fact that you think you're a woman maybe does not necessarily make you a woman. And I'm not going to spend any more time about that, because even that is imposed on our mind by, the mainstream media. Economics. I'm not saying, why are we worried, for example, give an example, about ecology and being green in Europe so much? And when I say Europe, I speak about the European Union right now. Whereas there's a bloody war in Ukraine, and when a fuel reservoir with 70 tons of fuel burns, how much CO2 does that produce, okay? Does a Leopard 2 tank run on electricity? It doesn't, okay? Look at the war in Israel. I mean, how much impact does that have on pollution as compared to, you know, driving a diesel fuel car? Okay, that's a question I'm asking. I actually don't know the answer, but my impression is that it does have a lot of impact. So what I'm saying is we're living through a big lie in a way, and this is not, and with this I'm going to end the video, just a geopolitical conflict. This is also an ideological conflict, because you're receiving messages like, oh, you gotta be green, you gotta be green, oh my goodness, the world is going to end, you gotta be green. And at the end, the same people telling you this story have no problem whatsoever fighting a major war in Europe, which produces tons of CO2s. So, you know, we're just living through this big lie. And what is happening right now, and that's where I think Trump comes into play, George Orwell and Taylor Swift, people are just realizing that this is not working at all. And this is not based on reality, but it's rather based on interests, okay? And as an artist, you really want to bring that to the light. Have people asking themselves questions, and don't go around the world pointing your finger saying this is right, and that's wrong. It doesn't work that way at all. Well, that's it. I don't know if I made sense, but I really want to shoot this video, so I don't care. Having said that, Marseille is next, and maybe I'm gonna shoot a video from there. And wherever you are, guys, take care and enjoy life. Ciao, ciao.